Hi guys, today I'm going to be doing a Warrior Cat analysis on Thistleclaw. Now, Thistleclaw is a very interesting character to me. He starts out as being a ambitious, somewhat aggressive cat to just becoming a straight up villain. I've always found this strange, and only because to me there's not enough evidence to really say he was as villainous as people make him out to be. Was he ambitious and could he be a bit aggressive? Yes, he could. There's lots of warrior cats who are like that in the series, and yet they still go to StarClan. So when I first got into the series, and people were asking why Thistleclaw wasn't in StarClan, and one of the writers made the joke that Blue Star must have chased him out of StarClan and into the Dark Forest when she got into StarClan. I personally found that theory to not only be hilarious, but something I could so see Blue Star doing. Am I the only one who could picture that in my head? Like, Blue Star goes to StarClan and she sees Thistleclaw cuddling with her sister, and she's like, no, you're bad, you go to the Dark Forest. Like, I could so see that happening, and then Snover's like, no, that's my mate, no. Like, I could just see that happening. And it would have had some interesting character development, because say that did happen and Blue Star chased him out into the Dark Forest. Blue Star would then have to live with the fact that she chased her sister's mate into the Dark Forest. It would have caused friction between her and her sister, and Blue Star might have had to have sit there and really thought about it and thought, maybe I was wrong about him. After all, he was in StarClan, he did love my sister, and he loved his son White Storm. Maybe I was wrong about him. Maybe I shouldn't have done that. And a lot of people were telling the Erins, oh no, you can't have her chase him out of StarClan, because if you did that, that would make Blue Star look bad. Since when is it bad for protagonists to have, flaws? It would have so spoke about Blue Star's character. Blue Star does tend to be quite judgmental, even though she herself has not only made a lot of mistakes, but can be pretty ambitious. It would have spoke volumes, and it would have been interesting. I mean, yeah, people probably would have liked her a lot less, and, when that joke, supposedly it was a freaking joke the whole time, when that did come out, that Blue Star chased him out into the Dark Forest, people were like, oh no, you can't do that. Blue Star, that she's supposed to be a good guy, or good she-cat, excuse me. She's supposed to be a good she-cat, and here she is chasing him out into the Dark Forest. No. To me, it makes perfect sense, because for some reason, Blue Star has always had it out for Thistleclaw. Which is really strange, because ironically enough, he loved her sister Snowfur. And when I say loved her sister, he loved Snowfur. Really cared about her. And something that I find hilarious is, in Blue Star's prophecy, I believe it is, when Snowfur gives birth to White Kit, she is surprised. Blue Star is surprised by the fact that Thistleclaw treats Snowfur kind. And congratulates her and says, we can call him whatever you want. I'm so proud of you. And Blue Star is surprised by this. Like, I just remember sitting there thinking, okay, so was Thistleclaw supposed to go up in there and be like, kid, I don't really care. What did she think he was gonna do? Go in there and be like, oh, I don't like it. I mean, it's, and it's comments like that Blue Star makes. I mean, she was blue for at the time, but it's comments like that makes me think maybe she was a bit over the top about how quote-unquote ambitious or evil Thistleclaw was. And some people have said, oh, well, he was evil because he made Tigerstar who he is. No, he freaking did not. A lot of people say this, but if you're going to make that argument, then you have to look at all these other mentors who treated their apprentices badly. You have Ravenpaw, who had Tiger Claw for a mentor. And Tiger Claw was extremely rough on Ravenpaw. Never gave him any kind of compliments. Constantly griping him out. Just treated him like garbage. And, poor Ravenpaw didn't even have his sibling to rely on, because his sibling didn't want anyone to think they were related. The whole clan went against Ravenpaw and thought, oh, he must be in with Shadow Clan because Tiger Claw said so. Tiger Claw tried to have him killed, and yet Ravenpaw grew up to be a kind, gentle, soft cat. So you can't completely blame a mentor. You just can't. Then you got Crooked Star with his quote-unquote unofficial mentor, Mapleshade. And again, is Crooked Star a flawed character? Yes, he is, but he still grew up to be a kind and caring cat who loved his clan, even though he had Mapleshade for a, again, quote-unquote mentor. And some people and then the errands came out because people didn't like that whole theory that Blue Star chased him out of Star Clan, so they were like, oh no, he went to the Dark Forest right after he died. Okay, why? And they said, well, he was training in the Dark Forest before then, so that's why he went to the Dark Forest. Okay, so he was training in the Dark Forest. So was Crooked Star. So were a lot of cats that went to Star Clan or are going to go to Star Clan, like Ivypool and Birchfall. And they were training in the Dark Forest, and supposedly they're going to go to Star Clan because at the end they decided to fight for their clans. Well, you can make the same argument with Thistleclaw. Thistleclaw may have been ambitious, but he fought for his clan. In fact, he trained in the Dark Forest not to take over the clans, but to be strong for his clan. And that's something a lot of people seem to glance over. Yes, he was training in the Dark Forest, but it's stated he's doing it to be strong for his clan, not to take over all the forest like Tiger Star and Broken Star, not to be the leader of all clans. No, he just wanted to be strong for his clan. Can you really make the argument that he deserves to be in the Dark Forest strictly because he was training there to be strong for his clan? I just don't really see how. But then a lot of people say, oh, but, he allowed Tiny or Scourge to be beat up by Tiger Claw. Well, that isn't exactly how it went down. Was he tough on Tiny? Yes, he was. He was a naturally tough cat and naturally aggressive. You have Tiger Paw, who he actually gave Tiger Paw the choice. He said, what should we do with this intruder? And Tiger Paw says, I think he should be taught a lesson. And then Thistleclaw says, well then, go ahead. Now, we don't know for a fact what would have happened had Tiger Paw said, well, just let him go. We don't know. We don't know if Tiger Paw had said let him go and then Thistleclaw attacked Tiny, then I would have been like, oh, okay, yeah, maybe that guy is violent. My God, he just attacked a kitten. But no, it was Tiger Paw who attacked him, and Blue Star puts a stop to it. Thistleclaw was grieving at this time, and that's something a lot of people also don't take into consideration. He lost his mate, Snowfur. That devastated him. And before that, he had lost his sister, Sweetpaw. His obsession with keeping the clans, separate, like the borders clean and all that came from Snowfur's death. After Snowfur's death, his aggression levels went through the freaking roof because he was so devastated by her loss. And at that point, he was completely and 100% vicious to any and all intruders that came into ThunderClan territory. Can you really blame him? Snowfur was his soulmate. That was the cat that he loved. That was the cat who bore his kitten for him. He loved her. And a lot of people say, yeah, but he said it should have been Bluefur to die instead of Snowfur. Yes, he's grieving. He was grieving. he didn't like, but why wouldn't he have wanted that? I mean, Bluford treats him like garbage and thinks he's this villain who didn't even deserve her sister. And, you know, yeah, I could see where he would say something like that, and I could see where he would mean it. I mean, and then, you know, he obviously had a soft spot for her because he wouldn't have said that if he didn't love Snowfur so much. To me, he was just an ambitious warrior who cared about his clan. And then some say, oh, but Blue Star said he was going to mark the boundaries with the blood of their enemies. People say stuff like that all the time. I mean, how many times do we say, oh, I'm going to kill that person? Or, oh my gosh, can't believe that person did that. I hate them so much. We say stuff like this all the time. Doesn't mean we're going to act on it. I don't think he would have ever acted upon his aggressions. I just don't. And, you know, actually there's a scene, I believe it's Blue Star's prophecy, where she's given her kits away to RiverClan and Moss Kit dies. Her mother, Moonflower, is devastated in StarClan by Moss Kit's death and says it is not up to Blufur to decide who Sunstar chooses as his deputy. And maybe if Thistleclaw does get chosen to be deputy, maybe he will become a better warrior. And it's so true. I mean, what if Thistleclaw had become deputy and became a good warrior? Maybe he wasn't as bad as Blue Star thought. Maybe he would have been okay. And here's something else that really bugs me about Blue Star. Now, I'm sorry to all you Blue Star fans out there. This is just a critique on my behalf. If Blue Star loved her clan so much, why didn't she marry into it? And I know a lot of you are like, well, she can't help who she loved, and she did wrestle with, you know, Oakheart versus her clan. Yeah, but in the end, she chose Oakheart, and she had his kits, and got herself into a pickle. Now, there was Thrushpelt, who absolutely adored her and kept her secret for her, which I gotta give that cat props. I mean, that shows me he truly loved her and cared about her. And it's... if she loves her clan so much, and she always talks about how she would make a better leader than Thistleclaw, really? Because Thistleclaw married into the clan. Seems to me like he's a better clan warrior than you are. Here you are canoodling with the River Clan warrior when this Thunder Clan warrior over here, Thrushpelt, really loves you. I'm just saying. I mean, Blue Star, what I'm getting at is Blue Star had her own flaws and her own ambition, and yet she was so judgmental of Thistleclaw amongst other characters who had these flaws as well. Which again, I could so see her chasing him out of StarClan. I still think that's the theory that I believe happened, and that's the theory I'm always going to believe happened, because that is just, I could so see that. I might make a parody of that, because God, that is just so, I could just so see that. So, and you know, another thing is, wouldn't it have been interesting if that did happen and she chased him into the Dark Forest, and then when the Dark Forest and StarClan are battling against each other, he confronts Blue Star? And he's like, we meet again. You took me from my mate and my son, and you chased me out here. Well, I'm going to get you back. And it could have been a showdown between them, or it could have been a confrontation where Blue Star was like, you're right, I was wrong. I was wrong about you. I was always wrong about you, and I'm sorry. Something. You could have built on that. Like, that could have been a built-on story that could have had an interesting ending. Whether it would have been them fighting and Blue Star becoming the victor or the victim, or they get a confrontation and Blue Star has a character change. It would have been something that they easily could have done and could have worked into the story. But instead, nope, he was training in the Dark Forest, so now he's there. Maybe we're going to get more on the story of why Thistleclaw's in the Dark Forest, and it'll just be a better story than, oh, well, he was training there. Something else that people seem to forget is, you know, Thistleclaw, it states that Tiger Claw, or Tiger Star at the time, So Tiger Star said that Thistleclaw would have raked him behind his ears if he found out that he lost to Blue Star and a kitty pet being Fireheart when he tried to take Blue Star's life, or lives in that matter. But here's what's interesting about that. He goes on to say, but Thistleclaw would have never gone up against his leader. And something people seem to not really care about is when Blue Fur gets chosen to be Sunstar's deputy. Thistleclaw could have tried to have killed her. I mean, if he was truly as ambitious as she thought he was, shouldn't he have tried to have killed her like Tiger Claw killed Redtail? That would have made sense to me, but instead, he was upset about it. I mean, he's screaming her name at the top of his lungs because he's angry, but he never tried to kill her. He respected, for the most part, Sunstar's decision to make Blue Fur deputy, even though it upset him. He never tried to kill her. And when she becomes leader, it's so sad to me because he expects her to say, okay, Thistleclaw, you're my deputy. But does she? No. Instead, she gets this underqualified cat named Redtail who, maybe I'm wrong, maybe they've changed it since then. His only apprentice was Dustpaw, and he had only been training into the wild. He had only been training Dustpaw for 2 moons. So, but it said that he had been her deputy for several moons, so I'm confused. I thought if you were to be a clan deputy, you had to have an apprentice before that. And Redtail was pretty young when he died. So that makes me think he was young, inexperienced, had never had an apprentice. At least, not that we've heard of yet. Again, it might change. Maybe Dustpaw wasn't his only apprentice. Maybe he really did have another apprentice. Things change in Warriors Wiki and in the books, so this might change. But as far as I knew at the time, Redtail had only apprenticed Dustpaw, and I remember, and he was young. Redtail was pretty young, and I remember thinking, wow, he sure does seem underqualified to be ThunderClan's deputy. Why did she pick him instead of Thistleclaw? Did she really not want Thistleclaw to be the deputy that bad? I mean, and then he went out and found the River Clan Patrol, or they found him, and, he died once again defending the ThunderClan territory. Maybe I'm wrong about this. Maybe there was something in the books I missed. Maybe, he does deserve the Dark Forest, but I just don't see how. I don't see, because again, he loved Snowfur. Even Tiger Claw, or Tiger Star, if you will, he didn't love Golden Flower Sasha. Even the Erins have stated, he wasn't really in love with them. He loved his kids, but he wasn't really in love with them. And even with his kids, he didn't really truly love his kids. He wanted his kids to be ambitious like him and take over the forest and do his bidding. He was living his life through his kids. With Thistleclaw, he loved Snowfur. Loved her. Loved his son, who Blue Star, again, took away from him. I'm serious, guys. Couldn't you just see that? Do you want me to make a parody of that? I will make a parody of Blue Star going into StarClan, seeing Thistleclaw cuddling with her sister and being like, no, leave. I could just, oh my god, I could see that. I mean, after all she had done to Thistleclaw, and I could just so see that. That would have made such a better story, such better character development, and a much better little side story arc than, he was training in the Dark Forest. In fact, how many of you think that would have been a better... Leave in the comments below if you think that would have been a better story of Blue Star chasing him out of StarClan. Because, God, I could just so see that. And again, there was so much they could have done with that. But, again, I think Blue Star was a bit unfair with Thistleclaw. I think the Erins have been a bit unfair to Thistleclaw. Again, he starts out as an ambitious warrior who has some aggressive tendencies to just straight up villain. And it makes absolutely no sense. And leave in the comments below the reason why you think he might be in the Dark Forest, because I'm serious. I really can't find anything that really proves beyond a shadow of a doubt that he deserved the Dark Forest, because And again, people complain about, well, he turned Tiger Claw into who he is. No, he didn't. Tiger Star became who he was because of other events that took place before that. Big one, Pine Star leaving to be a kitty pet. That destroyed him. His siblings dying. Goose Feather knowing he was going to be, a monster basically, and telling him that to his face when he's a kitten. And I'm sure that had a huge effect. I mean, so with Tiger Claw, it was different. He had other reasons. Now, with Thistleclaw, you could make the argument, well, his father was half Windclan Cat and half ThunderClan Cat. Maybe that's why he was as ambitious as he was, because he thought he had to prove himself, which actually makes sense. Anyway, tell me what you guys think. Leave a comment, like, subscribe. Thank you for over 90 subscribers. You guys are amazing. Bye.